Welcome in, my name is Rosanna. I'm a project manager, content creator, and healthy productivity fanatic. In today's video, we are going to tackle the chaos of content creation using my favorite and personally ultimate tool to do this, Notion. I'm going to show you how to never miss any uploading deadlines, how to never lose track of all the text you've written for scripts or posts on social media, and how to never lose any research, thumbnails, basically anything that you need to create good and consistent content. I'll keep the intro short and sweet because there's enough content to tackle in today's video. The video is actually split up into 3 parts: a brief introduction of Notion for those who have never heard of it. First and foremost, a brief introduction of Notion for those of you who have never heard of the tool. The second part is about how to get started with Notion. So again, if you're completely new to Notion, I want to show you the bare bones or like the basics of how to work with Notion, so that if you see the third part of the video, which is actually my workflow and my content creation dashboard, you are understanding what you're seeing. And also, if you do want to get the template, I do sell my Notion templates. The link is in the description box down below. You can actually follow what you see in the template if you've never worked with Notion before, because you're familiar with the terms and the setup of the tool itself. Let's not waste any time and let's get started with the first part, a brief overview of Notion and the tool itself. So for those of you who have never heard of Notion, Notion is what I like to call note-taking app on steroids. It is far more than just a note-taking app. It is basically just a versatile tool to use for productivity and creativity, but it allows you to organize what they call pages. And on those pages, you can put a ton of different elements, but the most important one is databases, which is basically just like an Excel table, but more intuitive, better looking, and also just in general, I would say capable of way more than a basic Excel table. Even though I know Excel is capable of a lot, you really truly need to understand Excel in depth to be able to do a lot of things that in Notion you can just do with the click of a button. It is extremely easy, and I think that's something that you're going to see a lot in this video as well, is the database feature, but also just the concept of having pages, and you can have endless pages within pages. So you can kind of build up your own click-through system of a home page that leads to other pages that leads to other pages. So that's the basic concept of Notion. I will show this to you in a little bit in the second part of the video, and then hopefully it will become a lot more clear than it is now. However, this is their website. You can actually try Notion completely for free. Most of the features are completely free, so there's really no need to immediately go for a paid plan. I personally am a power user of Notion. I use it for every single aspect of my life. If you're ever interested in like a full Notion tour, I do have it on my channel, so feel free to go check that out. I'll also make sure to link it in the cards up top. However, if you just want to start experimenting with Notion, there's absolutely no need to get the paid version. If you do ever want to pick up the paid version, if you're watching this video and you're already a Notion user, feel free to use my affiliate link in the description box down below. It's not like you get a discount with that link, you do pay the full price. However, I do get a small commission of that price. So if you would like to support my efforts here as a content creator or on any of my other platforms, if you've been watching my other YouTube channel or my Twitch streams or anything, feel free to use that link in the description box down below to support those efforts. So actually, let's dive into part 2 of today's video, and that is getting started with Notion. If you have never used Notion before and you make an account, this is what you start with. And I know for a lot of people who've never used Notion before, this feels very overwhelming. It is empty. There is endless possibilities and absolutely no guidance whatsoever. However, luckily we have YouTube channels like Thomas Frank's ones. I'll link that down below for really, really good in-depth Notion tutorials. So if you're looking at this video and the things I explained today are too fast, too simple, or just not enough for you, feel free to go to Thomas Frank's YouTube channel because it's one of my favorite teachers when it comes to Notion. But I'll walk you through the basics of setting up a page. And something that I always start with whenever I make a new page in Notion is I go into the context menu at the top here. I change the font. You can either go for the default one, the serif font, or the mono font. I personally am in my serif, I never know how to say this word. I'm personally in this phase of my life, but the good thing is you can just change it. Even if your Notion page has been existing for years, you can still change the font. I also like to do small text and full width, and especially the full width is very beneficial if you're working on a PC. If you're using Notion on a mobile device, I would recommend not going for the full width one because it usually makes the page jump in very very weird places. However, if you're on a PC, the full width one gives you a little bit more space to work with, and that's just nicer. The first step is actually giving your page a title, and one tip that I wish I had gotten earlier is make sure that you make your Notion pages, or like the titles of them, recognizable and unique, because you can eventually link pages to each other. If your page then has a very generic name and there's like 5 pages with the same name, Notion can do that. It just makes it really, really hard to find the right Notion page. So let's start by calling this one Content Creation Dashboard, because that's what today's video is all about. Then something I really like to do is I like to add an icon. You can either pick from your standard emoji list, you can pick from icons, or you can actually upload either an image or a GIF, whichever you prefer. I am going to go for an icon, and we're gonna pick film as our icon. Let's go, because I think that really fits. Then something I also really like to do is getting a cover in here. You can completely fully customize this. You can either pick one from the gallery, you can upload something from your computer, you can even use a link. So if you just find a nice picture on Google, you can just drop the link in here, or you can use Unsplash, which has a really, really big library of pretty pictures. So let's actually type in YouTube and see what it comes up with. I want something that looks clean, but yet kind of shows content creation. Maybe we can just go for the phone. I like this. I think that looks simple. I think that looks clean. And then usually what I do is I just click empty page, because that gets rid of all the options that we have, because that's usually not something I use. And then since we are going to be working on a content creation dashboard, for me personally, the basis of my content creation dashboard, anything that you'll see in the third part of today's video, is actually based off of one single database. That database contains a list of all the content I want to create, and then I showcase that in different views to be able to manage it and actually work with it. So we're gonna start, and if you want to add anything to your Notion page ever, you press /, and then it gives you an option to add all of the available blocks that exist within Notion to your page. As you can see, it's a long list. If you are new to Notion, feel free to just do this and read all of them. Check out what you can do, and it is completely fine if it takes you a while to get adjusted to the things that match with your preference, and also the things that you are actually looking for and the things you want to do in Notion. But we're gonna start with a database, and when you want to make a database in Notion, there are different options to do this. You can create one that is inline, which basically means that it's going to create a table right here, right now on this page that we are on right now. However, I personally don't like to do that. Whenever I make a source database, which is kind of what we're going to do right now, it's going to be the source of every single view that we'll have on this page eventually. I like to go for a database that is a full page. What happens when I click this is Notion will create a new page that will contain the database. So I will click this, and as you can see, it immediately popped up a new page. That page will live in the previous page. So we can like click back, and then you can see here the page lives here. So let's add an icon, because again, I like to add icons to all of my databases, and let's add maybe the camera. And this is going to be our content master database. And this will contain everything that we'll need to know about our content. Once you have this, your next step will be to actually decide on the layout of your table or your database. So basically anything that you are going to want to register about a video or a piece of content needs to be a column in this specific table. So the first one, let's actually call it title, because the title of our video or our content post, that's what we're gonna put in here. This specific column with the letters in front of it, that is going to be your page linking column. I will show you what I mean with that in a second, but you can never delete this column. Every single database needs to have this column for the simple reason that if you page 1, as you can see, it creates a clickable link, which you can click on to edit, or you can hover over and say open. As you can see, it creates a new page. So this is kind of what I've been saying. Remember what I said in the first part of the video, having pages within pages? Well, this is kind of the best part of Notion, but also the part that makes people feel relatively overwhelmed when they've never worked with Notion before. You can even go in here now and say / and create a page. So then you have a page within a page within a page. See what I'm getting at? Like, you can go with this in an endless loop. I wouldn't suggest creating pages within pages within pages within pages, because that's probably not going to bring you any benefit anymore. But the good thing of this is that you can always create dashboard pages, which contain a lot of information, because everything is organized in separate pages, but you can still keep that one overview that is clean for you to work with. So let's call this YouTube video 1. There's 2 ways that you can go about populating a table and making all the columns that you want. You can either do this from the table page and you can add columns over here, or you can actually go into a video and you can add properties over here. If I add a property over here, let's say we want a date because we want a publish date for the piece of content. As you can see, it creates it here, but it immediately creates it in the table as well. Something that I also like to do is when you click on something and you do edit property, you can actually change the icon of things. This is a very personal and very like aesthetic thing. You don't have to do this. You can totally just use the default icon. But if you have multiple date fields, for instance, you have a publishing date, but you also want to have a recording date for planning purposes, you can actually give the recording date a different icon. So you can actually see, we have a record one. Let's put the record one for the recording date because why not? It works. And that way you can immediately see that these are 2 different date fields, even though both of the fields will contain date information. If you click on it, as soon as it's a date field, you can actually select a date. You can also say, let's say that you're managing multiple social media channels. You can make a property that is called select, and then you can say channel. And here you can actually create a search list for yourself. So let's say you're on YouTube and you are on Twitch and you are on Twitter, which I will refuse to call X. As you can see, every single time you put in a value, it will automatically create a list. If you don't like the colors, you can click the context menu and you can change the colors. You can change the name. Something that I always like to do is I even like to add some little emojis in here. So let's give YouTube a red heart because that is the color of YouTube. And again, this is very up to you, whatever you like, whatever you feel like doesn't make it too cluttered and allows you to keep an overview. I personally got rid of most of the colors in my Notion dashboard because I felt like the more colors I had, the more overwhelming it got. And I just wanted to make sure that it was organized a little bit more neatly. Once you have all of your columns set up, I'm not going to go over all of the options that you can set up here. This is also very personal to you, what you want to register about your social media posts. Something that you can do is you can click over here and then you can actually make templates. And this personally is one of my favorite things to do because this is the part where it gets really smart and time saving. Creating content is already time consuming enough. So any places where you can work smarter instead of harder is actually a win in my book. So let's create a new template and let's call that YouTube video. Every single time you make a YouTube video, you have a script that you want to write. You have title ideas, you have a thumbnail options. Maybe sometimes you want to make sure that you get 3 ideas for titles. So you already make it numbered for yourself so that it's easier. Whenever you're writing the script, you want to be remembered that you have to write a hook, an intro, you have to write the body or like the content, and then you have to write the ending. And this is kind of your basic structure. This is how you always work every single time you do this. Also, whenever you're talking about a YouTube video, it always airs on YouTube because that's the channel that you're working for. And now that you have made a template, you can actually press back. It will bring you back to this page. And then if you want to make a new YouTube video, as you can see, it automatically lists it here. And I now see that I forgot something very important. If you want to edit a template again, you can just go to the little button here and then do this and then press edit. Something that I always like to do is I like to set up a standard icon for my templates because that way every single time I create a new page, it doesn't come up with the little ugly standard page icon. It will always create one with this one. So let's actually do a video. And for YouTube, let's make sure that we always have that icon. Now, if we go here, you can see that the template has one. And as soon as I click this, it will apply the template. As you can see, it applied the standard icon. It immediately said that it will air on my YouTube channel. And it made this into a template of text and allows you to constantly see the same things or like constantly remind you of, oh, when you're writing a script, these are the 4 things you need to look into, etc. Now that we have 2 entries and our master database is there, let's go back to our content creation dashboard because right now this isn't doing much for us yet. Something that I want to show you guys, and then I will go actually into my own template and show you all of the other things that you can do in the template itself because it's easier than building it from scratch. But something that I didn't know for the longest time, and that is one feature of Notion that is making it so incredibly incredibly useful to have a master database and then just kind of display it in different ways is if you do slash and you do linked view of database, you can actually do this. And then you can say, let's get my content master database in here. And then you can just click this one for now. That's fine. This will give you a linked view of this database in here. You can just work in it. Everything that you do in here will also show up in your master database. However, now you can start to play around with different views of this database. So something I always do is I hide that database title because usually I'm using headers or anything else to make the page look good and give everything a title. So I very rarely have database titles turned on. And then you can actually go in here. You can click the context menu. And then right now the layout says table, but you know what? I actually would like to see a calendar view. You can just change it with the click of a button. And right now it is organized by publish date. So as you can see, let's actually click this away. I have a YouTube video coming out tomorrow and a YouTube video coming out next week. However, if I also want to see when I have to record videos, I can just do the little plus icon here. You can even link to another database. It doesn't have to be the same database. If you have multiple databases, you can still put them all in one linked view. But let's get the content creation database again. And this time let's create another calendar view. However, I don't want it to be by publish date, but this time I want to see when I have to record things. So for planning purposes, you can now see you have one that is for recording. Let's again hide that database title, by the way. One for when to record and one for when to publish. If you want to be able to easily distinguish which calendar is what, you can click on it and you can select rename and you can do publish date. And maybe we can even change the icon again. So let's actually get a calendar in here. Let's get that one there. And then we can rename this one to be recording date. So now you can already kind of see this is a very bare bones basic version of a content creation dashboard that we just created in, let's say, the last 15 to 20 minutes. All you have to do, which takes most of the time and also takes most of the practice, is think about what you want to register for your content. And it is completely fine if you start out really small with just the title, maybe your platform, and your publishing date. If that's all you want to register for now, just to keep track of your planning, that is completely fine. The longer you work with it, the more you might start to notice that you want to add to your database and the more that you can populate it. And also the more things you put in the database as different data entries, the more you can use it to, for instance, filter. So if you, let's say you're also working on a Twitch stream schedule, etc., you can actually apply filters and then you can filter by channel. So for this one, the recording date, I only want to see YouTube videos because I don't have to record my Twitch streams. I only have to record my YouTube videos. This way, you can allow yourself to just create the views that you need to make it personal for your needs. So now that you have the basics down, let's actually hop into my actual content creation dashboard, and I will walk you through all of the templates I've made and all of the views that I have created. So welcome to my content creation dashboard. I'm gonna walk you through the basic layout and then dive into some of the more detailed things. So something I like to do is these boxes that you see here, they're called call out boxes. I very often use those to kind of create little containers for separate pages. So as you can see, my content database, so that master database that we created earlier in the example, that one is over here. Then I have a bunch of extra links over here. If you buy my template, you don't get all of them. You do get the master database, so you get an empty version of the master database, and you get the sponsor database, which is something that I will dive into a little bit later in this video as well. However, something that you won't get is the stream stats. This is just a personal page for me where I keep track of all the stats of my stream because I do different types of streams, and to make sure that I can kind of understand the difference of how they're performing, I'm keeping track of that in a Notion table. Then I have my business finance, which is also something I'm not going to show you yet. I'm going to make a fully separate video on how much I earn as a content creator and what my expenses are as a small business owner. Then the sponsorship one, I will get into merch designs. This is just a personal page I can very quickly show you. This is one of my ugly Notion pages. In case you were wondering if all my Notion pages are pretty, they are definitely not. This is just a simple one. It just contains all the colors for the different types of merch that I offer and which one I still have to make, which is a lot because I'm a little bit behind on my merch designs. So this is just information storage. It just sits here. And then my Pack Legacy dashboard is something I will show you today because that's the place where I collaborate with my editor, which is also something that is fantastic about Notion, is that it lives in the internet space, which means that you can very easily share it with other people. And my editor has access to my Notion so that he can actually see all the videos that he needs to see when it comes to editing, because he edits a couple of my videos, but not all of them. So let's start with the general layout that you can see here. Like I said, we have the what you could call menu. Then I have a content idea dump. This is mostly for on my mobile phone. I have a quick link to this page on my phone, and whenever I'm on the go and I just get a brilliant idea for a YouTube video, I have this page. That's it. And again, very ugly page. I just realized I have added this to my list of actual ideas that I can pick from. This one gets to be ticked off. I haven't had any bright ideas lately, apparently. Then the first thing you see is actually creating content, I call it, which is my work dashboard, or like the working part of my dashboard. I can either look 2 weeks into the future or like a month into the future. This contains all of the content that is scheduled to go live in the upcoming 2 weeks or scheduled to go live in the upcoming month. As you can see, as soon as I filter on month, there's a bunch of them that don't even have a thumbnail yet, because I am mostly working on these videos, so these already have a thumbnail. As you can see, the status right now is in recording, because I'm literally recording this video right now. This is the place where I do most of my work. This is where I keep eyes on if I'm working on the right videos, if the videos that need to go live are already scheduled. So I can see that these 2 videos are scheduled, which is good, because that means that I have 2 videos coming up on the channel. This one actually goes live tonight. This one goes live coming Sunday. Then if you scroll down from there, there is a bunch of things that you can see at once. One, there is a place which is called unscheduled ideas. I'll get to that in a little bit, but I just want to stress that every view that you see here, it all comes from that single source, that master database. My unscheduled ideas, my full content planning, everything, it comes from that same database. And the way that I separate things is by using filters in a smart way, so that things that don't have a due date are in my unscheduled ideas. Things that have a due date will actually show up in here. So that's kind of the philosophy that I use. Everything is in one place, and from there on, I filter it into separate buckets that I want to be able to see. First up, we have my full content planning. This is a whole month. As you can see, it's quite full. It is quite an extensive list of things. Here I can see day by day which content I have scheduled for that day. Last week, for instance, I did the Notion tour and I announced that I was going to sell my Notion templates. Last Friday, I had to announce a giveaway winner and had to announce a shell challenge that is related to The Sims on my Twitter, and I had a birthday stream. So as you can see, this is not limited to me to just video content. If there is a scheduled tweet or a scheduled announcement or anything, I also try to plan it out in here so that I can keep all the text and all the information of the announcement together as well. I mostly use this for my day-to-day work. I use the calendar view for when I'm planning content ahead, which is something that I don't do on a very structured basis. I just kind of do it whenever I feel like I'm in the right energy to start planning ahead. I do plan ahead quite far. So this is also something that never catches me off guard, where I'm like, oh, I haven't scheduled anything for the coming week, because if we start clicking through this, you can literally see that my entire January is planned out, all my Twitch streams, all my YouTube videos, everything. My Twitch streams are scheduled until mid-February because it's very dependent on my work schedule and stuff. So obviously something changes from time to time. But my YouTube videos are actually scheduled all the way until May. And that's where the first empty Thursday comes up. I do have my videos that air every Sunday scheduled until March. But again, I like to plan ahead, although this is very flexible. So whenever I feel like, I actually did that today, I realized, you know what? I had another video scheduled for next week. So the one I'm recording now, I decided today that I wanted to do that, and then I can just kind of like move it around within my schedule. This is another reason why I really love Notion. It is very intuitive for me to schedule my content this way. And also, like you can see here, like I said, I have my unscheduled ideas. So this is just basically all of the things in the master database that do not have any date related to them, no published date. So these are just ideas. They're just living in here. And since I have 2 different YouTube channels, this one and my Sims YouTube channel, I do have different filters on this as well. I have either long form content for this channel, so the one that you're watching right now, long form content for my Sims channel, that's this one. And then for both of them, I also have a little section for short form ideas, which is basically ideas for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. However, I haven't really had the time to do a lot of those lately. I do plan on doing them again. So that's something that I will have to populate in my calendar still. Sometimes this overview gets a little bit overwhelming. So I also have a separate one just for my Twitch streams. And I also have a separate one just for my YouTube videos and my short form content. So basically all my TikToks, Reels, etc. Then something else that you can see down here is that I have two kind of, I would call it linked databases. As I said earlier in the video, my whole life is in Notion. I do everything in Notion. If you're ever curious how that works, feel free to check the entire Notion tour that I will once again link up in the cards and in the description box down below. But I also have all of my notes, so my notebook in Notion, and I have a project management system or like a task management system in Notion. And these are two projects that are actually related to content creation in a way. Some of the things that I'm doing within these projects are actually contributing to my content creation journey. And I have one specifically, which is my content creation backlog, which is kind of just a continuous project where I can add all of the things. As you can see, this has been going on for a while, but everything that I need to do for content creation that isn't like an immediate task, but I want to do at one point. For instance, take professional headshots, which I can actually move to doing because I'm currently working on this. There is no due date. I'll see whenever I'll get to it. I'll see whenever I have the money to do this. However, I'm trying to find a photographer right now. So these are, again, this is all related to content. If you get my full Notion bundle, you will have these as well, because then it comes with all the other dashboards as well. However, if you're just here for the simple content creation part and you want to buy my content dashboard or you want to build it yourself, then you can kind of ignore this bottom section because it's not relevant for you. And it wouldn't be what you get with the template anyways. Like I promised, there was something that I was going to show you when it came to the sponsorship database. So this is a database that lives in a page separately within my content creation dashboard. And these are all the companies that I'm either affiliated with, I'm a paid partner with, I've had a single one-off sponsorship opportunity, all of those things. And basically I manage all of them here. And whenever I make a video that has a paid sponsorship, I can actually link that sponsor to the video. So I'm going to show that to you guys. Unfortunately, this video is not really sponsored by Notion, but let's pretend that it is. I mean, it is. I put the affiliate link in the description box down below. Then I can actually go in here and I can say that it is sponsored by Notion. And then you can see that it's linked over here. It is also linked to my task database, which is something that, again, if you buy the full Notion template, you will get this. If you only buy the content creation one, you won't. But you can obviously also do this yourself. If you're an avid Notion user and you know how to set it up, you can link it up to other databases. So you can see that I need to record the content creation dashboard video, that is today, and then I need to edit the content creation dashboard video, that will be tomorrow. I can click through on this task and it will immediately take me to my task database that's living somewhere else in my Notion. You can see that I can also have a deadline for uploading. This is mostly relevant for my editor. So whenever, for instance, I need to upload a video, but I'm going on a break, then we put a deadline for uploading here because it means that my editor actually has to get the video done before the due date. Because usually I can just upload the video whenever the due date comes around. However, sometimes there is a little bit of a caveat there and we need to get it done early. So again, this field will be empty on most of the cards, but when it's filled, then my editor can see that we need to make sure to get a video done in time. The PLC tick box is kind of similar for that because PLC stands for Pack Legacy Challenge. I can actually open one of them where it is ticked. So the Pack Legacy Challenge is my Let's Play over on my Sims YouTube, and that is actually the series that my editor is editing. So all the other videos are edited by me, but this series is weekly edited by him. And the reason we have PLC checked is because it is a filter option. So whenever I go to the Pack Legacy dashboard, let's actually open that one. This is a very simple dashboard. We never really took the time to make this extremely fancy. It's just easy to use. But basically here you can see, again, kind of a similar layout as before, just simpler. We have our workflow and we have our calendar. So here it is easy for him to see, hey, the video that is going up this Sunday is actually scheduled, so it's done. The videos from the previous week are all done as well. And then the one for the week after is actually ready to edit because I've recorded that right before this specific video. And we have a dashboard over here as well. So this is mostly the view that my editor is using. I very rarely look at this dashboard. This is just a way for him to only see the Pack Legacy videos and not all the other crap that I have in my content dashboard. If I go back, as you can see, they actually show up here as well. And you might wonder why this one looks so cute with all the pictures and this one doesn't. That is a setting that you can actually allow your Notion to use a cover page and show it up here. I like to have all the thumbnails whenever they're done. I like to have them in here because it just makes it look fun, and that makes me motivated to continue to work on a specific video. Like I said, I also have templates, so I have multiple. If you can see here, I have TikTok, Twitch stream, YouTube, just a video, a random video, for instance, for a highlight reel or something that I can post in my Discord or a tweet. All of these are relatively simple apart from the YouTube one. The YouTube one has a full-on template, and I will show that to you in the video that we're working on right now. So whenever I click on the template one, it automatically generates the headings over here. So I have an idea description. This is where if I have a video title that doesn't explain well enough what I want to do with the video, I can write it down here. Then I have title ideas. So basically, usually I use ChatGPT for some brainstorming on this, different title ideas for the video, and then I can decide later on which one I want to use. If I need to do research for a specific video, I know for some Sims videos, I need to look into other videos, or I need to find resources, or I need to look into websites or etc. Then I can dump all of my research notes in here. And then I have the script or the outline, kind of depending on how I am writing that video. For this video is mostly an outline, as you can see. This is just all the points that I want to touch upon, and I have it on my other screen when I'm actually filming the video. So this template, whenever I am making a new video card, it will immediately come up there. Then a little bit about my workflow, because I can imagine that you're like, okay, wow, this sounds great, but how on earth do you maintain all of this for it to stay organized? And I think this has something to do with the fact that I have too many ideas for my own good. So I very rarely run into the issue that I don't have any ideas here. Like I said, I'm a person that likes to plan ahead quite far. So as you can see, most of the things for a long time ahead are scheduled. However, if you are not really used to this yet, if this is not in your system, my suggestion would be schedule a meeting with yourself, literally in your calendar, book like 2 hours every 2 weeks, where you can just sit down, take maybe 30 minutes to jot down ideas, to just dump everything that you have in your brain. Even if you have no inspiration, go on YouTube, see what your competitors are making. Just ask ChatGPT, I want to make a video about The Sims. Give me the 10 most popular Sims video ideas. Anything that allows you to generate more ideas, jot them down, and then from there on, every 2 weeks, grab from that idea pool and schedule the videos that you want to make into those 2 weeks. Schedule whichever content you want to put out in those 2 weeks. If you find planning hard, if it's something that is not very natural to you, or something maybe that you don't even like and you don't think is fun to do, let the system work for you, but also don't feel like you have to be like this and plan months in advance, because I know for a lot of people that's just not feasible. So just agree with yourself, sit down every 2 weeks for 2 hours, jot down ideas, and pick ideas that you want to work on those 2 weeks. I sometimes plan ahead and then get to a month and I'm like, yeah, but I'm really not in the mood to record this video right now. And then I just drag it back to unscheduled ideas, and I look into my idea box and I'm like, oh, what is there that I do want to do this week? So it is also completely fine to plan ahead and then kind of step back from what you've planned. And also, again, for me personally, being able to look ahead in time and seeing, oh, this is what is upcoming in the next 2 weeks. What am I actually doing? And am I on track with recording these? Am I on track with editing these, etc.? This helps me, keeps my brain kind of like on of, oh, are you doing the right things? Then there is one final thing that I can recommend you to do if you have a really big Notion, like I do, where you manage multiple things and not just your content creation in Notion. I have a daily dashboard, which contains, again, multiple views from multiple different databases. So this also contains all the tasks that I need to do today, but it also contains an overview for today where I can see the content that is going live today. So wherever I am in my Notion, if it is relevant for me to see, I'll be confronted with a view from my content creation dashboard. And because I've incorporated it so much in my way of working, for me, it is not really hard to keep this updated. So I don't feel like I have a very specific workflow, but I think my main tip on keeping something like this up to date is, one, don't register for the sake of registering. If you feel like you don't need this, if you feel like you're already on top of your content, then just don't use this. Don't put a lot of time into building a Notion dashboard if you are actually on top of whatever you're doing. because it's just gonna take more time than it's gonna give you back. However, if you do feel like you're not in control of your uploading schedule or you want to be more in control than you are right now, just sit down those, like the initial, maybe take half a day, like a morning, to set up your content creation dashboard, figure out all the things you want to register, maybe find a cute little picture for your header so that every single time you open the page, it makes you happy to see. And then just make a recurring appointment with yourself every 2 weeks for 2 hours to sit down and update this. And then you'll see that in the beginning, that might feel like a lot. You might feel like, oh my God, I'm using those 2 hours and I'm not actually making content. I'm just planning content. However, at the moments that you are going to sit down and you're actually going to work on your content, you're going to script, you're going to record, you're going to edit, any of those things, you'll start to notice that because everything's in the same place and you've planned it out, all of those things will go much quicker and will go much smoother. So this is kind of my advice to you. Figure out your own workflow. If it works better to sit down 1 hour every week, if it works better for you to sit down a whole day every month, but just make sure that the system helps you, but doesn't get in your way, that it takes more time for you to actually set it up or use it than that it's bringing you benefit. So be critical of that as well. I think that concludes my full video on Notion for content creators. If you have any specific questions, please do feel free to pop in the comments down below because I would absolutely love to help you out. If you have downloaded my template and you have any feedback, always feel free to reach out either here in the YouTube comments or through my Discord server, which I'll also link down below, because I would be more than happy to help you or actually incorporate your feedback back into the template so that everyone who has downloaded the template can get an updated version. If you're interested in seeing more Notion content or other productivity related videos, I highly suggest checking out either of these videos because I think they will fit you really, really well. And if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, please make sure to do so over here or with the button down below, because then you will never miss an upload on the RosannaTxt channel. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching and I will see you on the next one. Bye everyone!